Hi, my name is Rick Molina from Predator Defense. Today we're going to go through a quick overview of the combat shroud. My purpose today is to show you what this is and how it was born out of what happens most often on the streets. Let's talk about entanglements for a second, which is happening much more often than which most people think. According to the FBI, the national database says that most attacks, over 50%, happen at this distance, within 5 feet, 75% within 10 feet, and almost 90% are happening within 15 feet. That's to say that the bad guy can get within 5 feet of you before you even know that he's coming at you, and that presents some challenges you have to be able to deal with. The problem is that at these distances, the bad guy can get his hands on you and your gun. So as I'm coming out of the draw, if he reaches in and grabs, now I have to deal with someone who's holding on to my gun. So for now, Gabriel is going to stay where he's at. If I was doing a draw, we're going to have him put his hand on the gun. Go ahead and squeeze it. His back of his hand is clear, and we're going to shoot one time. And you'll notice that the gun failed to cycle. Go ahead and move your hand. The gun is now jammed. So while I got one shot off, now I've got a gun that doesn't work, and he might have a knife that works just fine. With the shroud, we can do the same exercise with a completely different outcome. So I'll step in, he'll place his hand on the front of the gun, we're clear in the back, and now, with him holding hard, without a shroud, you maybe get one chance. That's it. The gun might jam, it might let you shoot once, but after once, you're going to jam for sure. With the shroud, you have the entire magazine to solve the problem. So the shroud is more than a typical standoff device. It protects more than just the front. Most standoff devices only are a piece of metal that extends up in front of the gun right here. Just to demonstrate that we've got a safe gun. When two men fight each other, it gets messy. It's not just going to be the front of the gun that you might have to worry about. If he's really coming at me, it could be any number of things. Okay, hand off. It could be any number of things that could be keeping the gun out of battery. With the shroud on here, the same way that when he had his hand on it, I can be pressed up against anything and the gun will continue to cycle. So on a normal gun with no pressure against the front, it fires cleanly. Push against it, even a slight amount, and it won't fire. It's loaded, it's ready to fire. It just won't fire until you back off. With the shroud, you can press in as hard as you want. And it continues to fire. The shroud gives us an opportunity to use other techniques that we normally couldn't use. We want to be able to beat the bad guy to our gun completely by putting our offhand back on the gun where it belongs. Let me demonstrate. Most of us are taught to draw into the center of our workspace. Our hands come together, extend, and shoot. So our offhand is typically up here, just waiting to receive the gun. At close quarters, you can just bring the hand down slightly and meet the gun here. Now I can hold my own gun in a position that would prevent the bad guy from getting on the gun at all. So at a range of about 3 meters, 9 feet, we can draw into our hand because we have time. Okay, now this is a different kind of shooting, a different kind of aiming. We're not obviously not using sight alignment or sight picture. This is proprioception or point shooting or intuitive shooting, as some people call it. But the idea is that we have to practice at a very close distance, and then as our skills develop, we can work our way back. I feel proficient at 3 to 4 yards shooting from a full retention position. Others won't. They might need to be at 2 feet or 3 feet. But the point is you're always going to be faster when you're shooting with intuitive shooting as opposed to sight alignment, sight picture shooting. And there's no need for it at 12 feet. Combat shroud isn't just meant for the two-hand retention grip. It can help with conventional grips like the isosceles. With a normal isosceles grip, the idea is to have your offhand thumb here on the frame. Now, people will put skateboard tape, they'll do stippling, they'll add glue here to build up some sort of surface that gives them a purchase with their off thumb. But the whole idea is to make sure that during recoil, your thumb stays on the frame. Now, with the combat shroud, we have something that's called the recoil ridge. It gives you just enough of an edge right here where your thumb can get seated right on there, and during recoil, it just doesn't move. It stays attached to the frame. Okay, there's far more to it than what we just showed you. There's a lot of other considerations, primarily distance. We have 4 different sequences that determine when you draw and shoot and which order you move in. But this gives you a good overview of what the combat shroud is and how it functions based out of technique, not just a device that you hang off your gun. If you're interested in the combat shroud, please feel free to go to our website, predator-defense.com, and there should be a discount code in the description below if you're interested in buying.